Hi guys, welcome to today's video. We are going to be trying something brand new to me, and that is alcohol inks. Let's jump in. So Paper Cutz has kindly sent me this specialist cardstock to try out today, and it is super smooth. There is very little texture to it on the surface, although you can see a tiny bit of texture when you look up close. You definitely can't feel it. You know I'm going to be trying this for foiling. Now I've tested this out, and because of the cardstock itself cuts beautifully, it would be perfect for gift tags, gift boxes, and even if you want to make alcohol ink cards, you could just trim this down into blanks or contact Paper Cutz and they will be able to make it into a specialist card blank for you. So let's get started as I take you through all of the tools that we're going to need for today's video. So to create your alcohol ink masterpieces, we are obviously going to need, most importantly, the Paper Cutz cardstock. I've actually trimmed this A4 sheet down into A6 as it's a good idea to start off with smaller sheets when you're practicing because it makes your material go further. You're obviously going to need some alcohol inks. These ones are just from Amazon. They had some really good reviews and I'll drop the link in the description box down below. I will obviously drop the link in the description box for this Paper Cutz card as well. You're also going to need some blending medium, or alternatively, if you're just trying this out like me, you can use isopropyl alcohol, rubbing alcohol. As long as it's ethanol based and it is a minimum of 91.9%, it should work fine. Mine's 99.9% as I use this for my printers all of the time. You're going to need something to decant that into, and I would strongly recommend something like a pipette so that you have more control on the actual paper, and surface that is easily cleaned, and obviously some kitchen roll for cleanup, because this, especially in the beginning, is a messy craft. Now these next items are optionals but nice to have. Some different sized paint brushes, a straw that can be used to manipulate the fluid once it's down. A spray bottle also gives a nice effect with the isopropyl alcohol. Once everything's dried, you can make a cool effect on it. And if you're patient, you won't need one of these, but if you're impatient or pushed for time like myself, then one of these mini hot air guns is invaluable as well. And luckily, this works really well with the Paper Cutz cardstock. There's no sign of buckling or anything that you sometimes get with cheaper cardstock. So let's dive in. First up, we are going to decant some of the alcohol into this little goo pot. The reason we like to keep everything separate is that you can obviously pop it back into the bottle for the bits that you don't use. Now, before we start laying down any of the isopropyl alcohol onto the page, I'm going to have a look at what I would like to use. And I think I am going to go for a purple and a blue. So I've got those ready. If you need to take the tops off, make sure that you are using a piece of kitchen roll over the end as you snip, because otherwise these ones in particular go everywhere. So first things first, I am going to load up my pipette with the alcohol, and then I'm going to lay it down onto my cardstock. Next, I'm going to put a few drops of the purple, and I'm going to use my straw to manipulate it. You can also tilt as well, that gives a really cool effect. And obviously this blend and the effect here will be completely dependent on how much of the alcohol you put down at the beginning. So you can see it kind of pulls where the alcohol, the isopropyl alcohol goes, the ink follows, but you can get different effects by layering it up like so. And you can also go back in where you've already been, which gives a nice effect too. And the thinner the layer of alcohol on the page, the less movement you'll get. Now, once it looks like it's dried, you can go back in with the alcohol and just drop, and it will reactivate, and you can see you get this really cool blooming effect there. I'll see if I can carefully lift it up because it's still wet. And you can create lots of different designs just by playing around, not being too precious with it, which is something that I definitely struggle with, just to get these cool effects. One of my favourite effects that you get with alcohol inks is the smoke effect. So I want to have a go at trying this one, but I know that it can be a little bit tricky. So we're going to give it a go, and we're going to start by just very gently drawing on to my card with the colours. And we're going to alternate them in a pattern that's going from one edge to the other, and then we're going to let it dry. And I'm just going to use my heat gun on a low setting just to make sure that's completely dry. I'm now going to take my pipette and some alcohol, and I'm going to also use a straw to try and mimic the smoke effect. So we're going to start with just a drop on the green and add a little bit more of the ink. So now that we've gone down one side, as you can see here, it's not picking up quite so well on the camera, but you can get just these little smoky bits. And as the alcohol dries and evaporates, you're left with this beautiful irregular edge. So we're now going to flip this and do exactly the same, but going down the other side. Cardstock helps to absorb the alcohol quite quickly, and if you use the straw you get this great effect here, which you can't quite achieve as well with the air gun. It's just this bloom, but because of the cardstock it stops it running off the edge of the page. It absorbs it before it goes too far, so you have a greater control and you can start to build up in layers. Now, if you do start to get a bit lightheaded using the straw, there are actually some specialist pumps that you can purchase. I have gone in for just the straw, but obviously you can use whatever works for you. So now we have this beautiful bloom and the little tail ends. We're going to go back over and start layering it up and repeat the process again. But this time we're going to add the alcohol ink first, just a drop. And then we're going to go in with the two neighbouring colours to try and create more of an interest. But this is completely up to you how you do it. It's very much a forgiving and an evolving piece. Just keep going back in and adding more of the alcohol. You can even use kitchen roll to just blot off any excess if you add too much, and as you can see it will take it away cleanly. So ideally you want to go back in to just stop any harsh lines from appearing if you are going for that sort of design. You can control this splatter effect by how forceful you are on the straw. There is some control, but you have to just kind of trust the process and understand you can't manipulate it fully, and that's okay. This is more about organic artwork. And I like this variation that we have here with the pink and the purple. So I'm really liking how this has turned out. You can see that some of the patches still aren't quite dry, but I want to add a little embellishment that I'm going to show you that you get in this set. Now my set actually comes with some cute little metallic pigment. So I'm going to go for a silver on this, and it is applied in a similar way. So wherever you touch it with the alcohol, you will obviously see it start to run. So we're just going to add a couple of highlights. We don't want to go too mad and over the top with this. So you need to make sure that you shake it well before use as well. And if you're opening any of these, believe me, if you don't want them to go everywhere, I would wrap them in a tissue like that and just clamp it before you cut the top off. Otherwise, it goes everywhere. Ask me how I know. So you can see how it reacts there. It's just this beautiful shimmery silver or metallic embellishment there. Let's try and lift it up so you can see. I'm helping it to run a little bit so we've got that organic to mimic the rest of the artwork. Now you can do exactly the same, and you can move it with the straw, or you can just dab it or dot it, or kind of do it whatever you would like. Or just do some splashes like that. This stuff sets a little bit quicker, but you can get a really cool effect by dropping on some alcohol. You get this cool splatter effect there. You can just see the outer edges of the inside of the circle and here as well. So I'm just going to go back in because I'm not too happy with how these harsh edges are around here. So I'm going to try and distort that. And you can see just by layering up the alcohol that you're dropping, it just helps to get rid of any of the harsh lines that you've got. So just from repeating that, it is taking it from that harsh line to just that more softer effect there. So here we have our finished piece. So I love this color combination, and it's definitely one that I would be happy to frame. However, when you are using these metallics, you would need to seal it, and something just like an acrylic clear varnish sealer will work absolutely perfect. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I use this on some of my other crafts. Just a couple of coats once it's fully dry and you're good to go. Otherwise, with the metallics in this set, they do transfer. And another great thing about this card, due to the thickness and just the composition of it, is that it can stand up to being completely sprayed with some alcohol. So it's saturated, and then having the inks dropped directly on top, and then you've got a more working time to play around. And because of how this is composed, you can also, how the inks interact is you can actually pick this up and just move it around, and when you mix the colors in this way, you get a really cool effect, especially when you're layering it up with the metallic here as well. And just like the other ways, you're able to use the dropper, and you can also add alcohol to it afterwards just to really play around with the effect. And of course you can go in with your straw as well. And if you have a bit that you're not too keen on, that's too much, then again, you can just use a clean bit of kitchen roll just to take the excess away. This will help it dry, and it also gives another cool effect too. So you can see, hopefully on camera here, how all of those layers and using the metallic shimmer has really helped with the organic kind of smoke-like design. And I think this looks really cool, and it's just another effect and another texture that you can create. can see just how smoothly this has cut on the Silhouette Cameo, and you can make your own tags in whatever size, and these are going to be perfect to use for gifts, Christmas, and anything else that you might think of once we've embellished them with some alcohol inks. So this is definitely my favourite technique, is just soaking and then adding on the alcohol ink and seeing what designs you can create. So you have to work quick to make sure that you don't lose any of the fluidity as it's drying out on the alcohol. And we're just going to carefully move this around to combine the purple and the blue, and then at the end we're going to add some metallic embellishments. Now this looks quite cool if you just leave perhaps one corner uncovered, and the tip is to try and make it so that it doesn't completely merge together, which here is a bit of an epic fail because we now have a very nice blue rather than the purple and the blue. So I think I put a bit too much ink on, but the one thing that we can do is to obviously layer this up. So once this blue has dried down, I'm going to apply some more alcohol just to one side, and we are going to have a go with the purple on top to see how that goes. So you can see this is just starting to dry now. You can still go in with a straw whilst it's at this stage. And this just allows you to move it around and create some really cool effects with how it disperses. And if you use the dropper to add alcohol, then you'll find that those places will go slightly lighter and you'll get a nice bloom effect. So we're going to come back to this once it's dry, and I'm going to layer it up with a bit of the purple. Okay, so now you can see that it's dried, and there is actually some of the purple variations in there, not just underneath where I initially put it back on, first on. And using the straw has kind of given this mottled effect here. I just blew really hard, and I love how that has dried as well. So now we are just going to very quickly go ahead and pop on some more alcohol and some purple. Now the one thing I'm going to say to you is you should 100% be using gloves when you're doing this craft. So you're probably wondering, well, why aren't you? My hands are completely ruined from nursing. I have to clean them like 50 plus times a day. So they are already super duper dry, but the alcohol is 100% not helping. So wear gloves. Do as I say, not as I do. So I love how this bloom effect here has kind of occurred. It kind of looks like a little jellyfish kind of floating under the sea, or like an amoeba or something. And now I am going to add some gold accent as well. Just a couple of splashes because this stuff moves really quickly, and it's kind of like magic how it moves in the alcohol ink. And I kind of am wanting to keep that effect there. So you can see it kind of comes out away from the middle, and I really like that because you've got a little bit of a ring of lighter colour and then darker as well. So I'm going to add just one or two more of those. Maybe if I can get away with it just in the corner here. See if this is going to work without runoff. Oh no. Okay, so I had a feeling that was going to happen, but that's okay. We are just going to adapt, and we are going to just move it slightly at the bottom so it kind of looks like a half circle just peeking out from the bottom there. But because I like that effect so much, I'm going to add a tiny one just there. Hopefully I can just pop the gold on enough to get it to react in the same way. And that looks quite cute because it's picked up this purple here. So yeah, I really, really like this colour combination with the blues and the purples. You've got lots of different shades going on. So this isn't 100% dry yet, but we are getting there. Let me know, what do you think of this effect? So once these are sealed, the glitter itself or the metallic inks will stay in place. And I really like how vibrant they look even after they've been sealed. If you want a bit more of a muted one, then you can do the effect that we did with the spray, with the alcohol in the spray bottle. And I quite like, this is more kind of cloudy or smoky, and I really like how this is turned out, especially as you can just about see, hopefully the camera's picking it up, the metallic flecks that have just kind of settled into all of the crevices of the image. And if you want a more vibrant metallic finish, then if you just drop it straight onto the pieces with a very minimal alcohol like this, you get this kind of raised effect here, and it really pops and really shows off the details. And again, you will obviously need to seal that. Now, I love the fact that because this cuts so well on the actual Silhouette Cameo, you can just go straight in and make any size or any shape gift tags that you would like, and then just go in and create all of these beautiful effects on them. They hold up so well to being absolutely saturated with the alcohol spray. As you can see, there is no warping, despite these being quite a lot smaller than the A6 cards that we did previously. So for this one, I've obviously sealed it, and that means that when you go over the metallic part, there is no transfer. And this one is lovely. It's kind of like a little sunset going on, and this was just with the different colors of blue, and then I went in afterwards with the straw just to create this kind of mottling effect. And obviously you saw me create this one here, which I like. Kind of reminds me slightly of Starry Night painting. I think it's the gold orbs just in the middle there. So I am really pleased with how these have turned out. If you saw my short video, my reel yesterday, you will have heard me explain that alcohol inks is a craft that I've wanted to try for years, but I've always been too nervous. So I am so pleased that having Paper Cutz on board has helped to support me in trying out this new craft, and is definitely one that I have enjoyed and will be creating time and time again. So I'm going to drop the link of the cardstock that I have used so you can try it out yourself. Now, if like me, you want to trim your cardstock down to A6, obviously you can do it yourself, or even easier, contact Paper Cutz and they offer a bespoke paper cutting service. You just need to let them know your requirements and obviously the cardstock that you would like it on, and they will be delighted to help. So you can just drop them an email and they will get back to you as soon as possible. I'd like to say a great big thank you for joining me today. I've had great fun trying out alcohol inks. Remember, if you try it yourself, wear gloves, don't do what I've done. Otherwise, your hands will be looking just as colourful and dry as mine. If you have any comments or questions, just leave them down below and I will be sure to get back to you. Don't forget to like this video and share it with any crafty friends that you may have, and I will see you next week. Bye!